Julian Croft's world was built of glass, steel, and silent, ruthless calculations. The city's skyline, a glittering tapestry of lights, spread out beneath him like a conquered map. From his penthouse office, he could see the entire city, a kingdom he had conquered not with armies, but with leveraged buyouts and hostile takeovers. His net worth was $100 billion. He was a man who saw life as a series of transactions, a game of numbers, where the only goal was to win. But in the next 10 seconds, his housekeeper was about to teach him the meaning of poverty. He was on a conference call, his voice like ice, dismantling a rival CEO. The numbers don't lie. Your assets are over-leveraged, and your market share is a fantasy. You're finished. He ended the call and tossed the phone onto his marble desk, the sound echoing in the vast, opulent room. Victory, as always, felt empty. It was just another problem solved, another competitor erased. He strode from his office, his leather shoes clicking on the polished floor, a lonely sound in a home built more for impressing than for living. He craved the sterile quiet of his home. But as he entered the grand hall, a sound stopped him. Laughter. A bright, genuine, bubbling sound. It was an alien sound in this house, a place more accustomed to hushed tones and the distant hum of servers. It was his 7-year-old son, Leo, a boy Julian saw more as a future heir, a continuation of the line, than a child. Leo was looking up, his face alive with a lycanthropy Julian had never seen. He wasn't on his tablet, the expensive, discarded toy that usually served as his babysitter. He wasn't with his expensive tutor, who always reported that Leo was distracted. He was with the housekeeper, Alara. And what they were doing stopped Julian cold. On a large rolling whiteboard, Alara wasn't writing a cleaning schedule. She wasn't taking inventory. She was writing equations. Julian's mind, a machine of logic and finance, struggled to process the scene. This was not in his calculations. The woman in the simple uniform was explaining gravitational lensing. He recognized the symbols. She was using a marker to draw how the light from a distant quasar bends around a massive galaxy, creating a cosmic mirage. She was teaching his son astrophysics. The very principles that underpin the satellite technology his company was investing billions in. The woman he paid to dust his furniture was dusting off the secrets of the cosmos, and the titan of industry, the man who always had the last word, was speechless. He remained hidden in the shadows of the doorway, a ghost in his own home. He watched as Alara's voice, patient and warm, filled the cold, empty space. "You see, Leo," she said, tapping the board, "the universe is a riddle. The equations are just the clues. They aren't the answer. They are the language we use to ask the question." The words hit Julian with the force of a market crash. A language to ask questions? He only used language to give answers, to give commands. He built empires, but had never thought to ask his son a single question about his own world. His world was quarterly reports, shareholder meetings, and the relentless pursuit of more. It was a world of cold, blue-tinted boardrooms and angry, shouting men. His son's world was silence, nannies, and a father who was more myth than man. It was a world of lonely swings and unspoken wishes. Yet here was Alara, a woman whose name he barely knew, a woman who existed only in the background of his life, giving his son the one thing his billions couldn't buy, a sense of wonder. His mind raced. He remembered hiring her. Impeccable references, humble, quiet, efficient. She was just a part of the house, like the furniture she polished. A background character out of focus and unimportant. But watching her now, her face alive with passion as she explained the stars, he realized he had never truly seen her at all. He had looked right through her. He saw a uniform, not a person. He saw a cost on his payroll, not a mind. Leo's small voice cut through the silence, full of a new, vibrant curiosity. "So the stars, they're not just lights, they're stories?" Alara smiled, a genuine, unguarded expression. "They are the oldest stories, Leo. They tell us where we came from. And if you learn to read them, you can understand things even I don't know. You can understand things no one knows yet. That is the point of learning. To go beyond." Julian felt an ache in his chest. He had spent his life going beyond his rivals, but he had never thought to invite his son on a journey of discovery. He stepped into the light. The sound of his shoe on the marble was enough. The laughter stopped. Alara gasped, the marker freezing in her hand, her back straightening in a gesture of deference. "Sir, you're home." I didn't hear you." Leo, however, beamed, his fear of his father momentarily eclipsed by his excitement. Dad, Alara is teaching me the language of stars. She knows everything. Julian looked past his son, his gaze locked on Alara. His voice was quiet, stripped of its usual command. How? He asked, are you doing this? Alara's confidence vanished, replaced by a nervous humility. I am so sorry, sir. I overstepped. I was cleaning his room and he found my old notebook. He asked questions. I didn't think. Your notebook? Julian pressed, his curiosity a new, unfamiliar sensation. Yes, she whispered, her eyes on the floor. I used to study. I was an astrophysicist back home, but circumstances changed. My family needed a provider more than the world needed another scientist. Her words, heavy with a universe of sacrifice, hung in the air. In that instant, Julian's world shifted on its axis. This wasn't a housekeeper. This was a mind, a brilliant mind, that had been buried by duty. Before we continue with this powerful story of discovery, if you believe that everyone has a hidden gift waiting to be seen, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us tell stories that matter. That night, sleep offered Julian no escape. He sat in his dark office, the city lights mocking him. He saw his son's illuminated face and Alara's patient hands. His $100 billion empire felt like a pile of ashes compared to the fire she had lit in his son. He, who could predict markets, had failed to see the most valuable asset under his own roof. The days that followed were a quiet revolution. Julian began rescheduling meetings. He clicked cancel on his calendar again and again. He told his board he was restructuring his portfolio. In truth, he was restructuring his life. He started coming home early, not to his office, but to the library, where he would sit in the shadows and just listen. He saw Alara use a simple glass of water and a beam of light to explain atmospheric refraction. It's why the sky is blue, she said, and Leo's eyes widened. He heard her tell Leo that a black hole wasn't a monster, but a grandmother star, so full of history and mass that it collapsed under its own weight. It's not an end, Leo, she explained. It's a transformation. He saw his son, once distracted and withdrawn, transform. Leo started reading. He started building models of solar systems from fruit, laying them out on the expensive rugs. He started asking Julian questions at dinner, questions about the world, about why things were. Dad, why does the moon follow our car? Julian, the man who had all the answers in the boardroom, for the first time had none. He found himself saying, I don't know, Leo. Let's ask Alara tomorrow. Alara wasn't just teaching science, she was teaching character. One afternoon, Leo grew frustrated, throwing his pencil down. I can't get it, it's too hard. Alara simply picked up the pencil. She didn't scold. She didn't sigh. A failed hypothesis is not a failure, Leo, she said softly. It is a signpost. It is the universe telling you, not this way. Try another. Every great mind in history has been lost, Leo, but they became great because they kept searching. Julian, watching from the doorway, felt a profound respect he had never known. He had always punished failure. Alara was teaching his son how to use it. He also saw her teach Leo something he had long forgotten. Patience. She brought in a small plant. We can't yell at this plant to make it grow faster, can we? She asked. It needs time and light and water. Your mind is the same. Be patient with it. Give it what it needs and it will grow. Julian looked at his own life, a life of impatient demands and instant results. He realized he had been trying to yell his son into growing. Julian's heart, long armored in corporate steel, began to ache. He finally approached Alara one evening. I'll stop, sir, she said immediately, her voice flat, expecting dismissal. I know my place. Julian shook his head, his voice thick with an emotion he couldn't name. Your place is here, teaching him, teaching me. Tell me your story, Alara, not the short version. The real one, please. And so she did. She spoke of her childhood in a small, poor village where the only free luxury was the vast starry sky. She spoke of a scholarship, a miracle that took her to a great university. She spoke of her groundbreaking doctoral thesis, a new way to map dark matter. She was on the cusp of a major discovery. And then she spoke of the phone call, a storm, a collapsed roof on her family's small farm. Her father, badly injured, unable to work, the debt, crushing and immediate. She was the eldest. There was no choice. She dropped out, left her homeland and her dreams to become a ghost in the homes of the wealthy. Julian felt a shame so profound it burned, not of her, but of himself. He had built an empire on calculated risks while she had sacrificed an empire for love. "I'll fund it," he said, his voice raw. "Your PhD, your research, anything." She looked at him, and for the first time he saw the scholar, not the servant. She gently refused. "My dream is right here, sir," she said, nodding toward Leo's room. "To see him become the man he is meant to be, that is more than enough." In that moment, Julian understood. True wealth wasn't what you owned. It was what you chose to build in others. But the world outside their quiet home was not so enlightened. A gossip site published a story, a grainy, stolen photo of Alara and Leo in the park. The headline was cruel. "The nanny nebula, billionaire outsources fatherhood." The calls came flooding in. Shareholders, board members, family. "It's a disgrace, Julian. You're making the company a laughingstock. Fire her." His own brother called. "It's sentimental nonsense, Julian. You're losing your edge." The old Julian would have eliminated the problem without a second thought. The new Julian knew the problem wasn't Alara. It was them. He stood his ground. He weathered the storm of their anger. Then a new crisis struck, one far more vicious. He found Alara in the kitchen late one night, a tear-stained letter in her hand. "My brother," she whispered, her voice cracking. "He's ill, a rare blood disorder. The doctors in my village, they can't. He doesn't have much time." The thought of the house without her light, was unbearable. "I'll handle everything," Julian said instantly. "The best doctor is a private jet." "No," she said, shaking her head. "It's not the money. The treatment, it's experimental. It's only available at one clinic in Switzerland. I cannot accept your charity. You have done too much." Julian knelt before her, this titan of industry on the cold kitchen floor. He took her hand. "Alara, this isn't charity. This is a debt being paid. You gave me back my son. You taught me about value. Please, let me help you." He flew her and her brother to the clinic. He sat with her in the sterile waiting room, a place where his billions meant nothing. He watched her, not as his housekeeper, but as a genius, a sister, a woman of impossible strength. When he flew her home weeks later, her brother in remission, he visited her village. He saw the poverty. He saw his expensive shoes on the dirt roads, but he also saw Alara teaching a dozen village children with charcoal on a stone wall. He saw a fire that refused to be extinguished. An idea greater than any business deal was born. He and Alara co-founded a global foundation, not in his name, but in hers. The Alara Initiative, a foundation to find and fund brilliant minds in forgotten places. Alara was its director. The lessons with Leo resumed, but now they were different. Now, Julian sat at the table with them, his own notebook open, a father learning the language of the universe alongside his son. The world that once mocked him now watched in awe. Years passed. We see a university auditorium. Leo Croft, now a poised young man, is at the podium, giving a commencement speech. "My father built an empire," he says, "an empire of numbers and transactions. But the wisest person I know, my teacher and my friend, taught us both that the universe isn't made of numbers. It's made of stories. She taught us that true wealth isn't what you own. It's what you give away." He looks to the front row, where Julian sits, his eyes filled with a warmth that wasn't there before. And beside him, smiling, is Dr. Alara Vance, her name now synonymous with discovery. A journalist once asked Julian Croft what his single greatest acquisition had been. He smiled. He didn't point to a skyscraper or a stock certificate. He pointed to a framed photo on his desk, a photo of a woman and a little boy at a whiteboard, both of them laughing. "That," he said, "that was the day I learned my entire fortune couldn't buy what my housekeeper was giving away for free." If Alara's story reminded you that a single person can change the world, let us know by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And in the comments below, tell us who inspires you. Let's celebrate the hidden geniuses all around us. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, leave a like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful, healing stories. Thank you.